Once upon a time, in a small village in ancient China, there were three monks who were known for their infectious laughter. They were always found together, walking around the village and spreading joy with their laughter. The villagers loved these monks and would often invite them to their homes to share meals and stories. They would ask the monks how they managed to stay so happy all the time. The monks would simply smile and continue laughing. One day, a group of people from a nearby village came to visit the laughing monks. They were in search of a way to overcome their grief and misery. They had heard that these monks had the secret to happiness and wanted to learn from them. The three monks welcomed them with open arms and invited them to sit down. The villagers explained their troubles to the monks and asked them for guidance. The first monk responded by laughing loudly. The second monk joined in, and soon all three were laughing uncontrollably. The villagers were confused and slightly offended. They thought that the monks were mocking them. The first monk then spoke, "We apologize if we offended you. We were not laughing at you but at ourselves. We were laughing because we realized that we had forgotten to be happy." The second monk continued, "We realized that happiness is not something that can be found outside of us. It is not in money, material possessions, or even other people. It is within us all along, and we just need to remember to tap into it." The third monk added, "We are not happy because we have everything we want, but because we appreciate what we have. We choose to focus on the good things in life, no matter how small they may be." The villagers were amazed by the wisdom of the monks. They had expected to be given a complex solution to their problems, but instead, they received a simple and profound truth. The monks continued to explain that life is full of ups and downs. There will be times of joy and times of sorrow, but it is up to us how we respond to them. We can choose to dwell on the negative and become consumed by our troubles, or we can choose to focus on the positive and find joy in even the smallest things. The villagers listened intently and began to understand the importance of cultivating happiness from within. They realized that it was not a destination to be reached, but a journey to be embraced. As the villagers left, they felt lighter and happier. They thanked the laughing monks for their wisdom and promised to practice what they had learned. From that day on, the laughing monks continued to spread joy and happiness wherever they went. They would often be seen sitting under a tree, laughing and enjoying each other's company. People would come from far and wide to sit with them and learn from their teachings. The three monks never forgot their own lesson, and they continued to find joy in the simple things. They knew that happiness was not something that could be pursued, but something that could only be experienced in the present moment. Years passed, and the laughing monks became old and gray. One day, they received the message that one of them was near death. The other two monks rushed to his side, knowing that their time together was coming to an end. As they sat together, the dying monk smiled and said, "My dear friends, do not mourn my passing. Instead, remember the joy and laughter we shared together. Remember that happiness is always within you, and that it is up to you to choose it." The other two monks nodded in agreement, tears streaming down their faces. They knew that their friend was right, and that his words would stay with them forever. The monk then took his last breath and passed away, surrounded by his friends. The two remaining monks sat in silence, reflecting on their memories together. They knew that their friend had left them with a powerful lesson that they would carry with them for the rest of their lives. From that day on, the two monks continued to spread joy and happiness in honor of their fallen friend. They traveled to different villages, sharing their teachings with anyone who would listen. As they journeyed together, they encountered many challenges and hardships. They faced hunger, illness, and even persecution for their beliefs. But through it all, they remained steadfast in their commitment to spreading happiness and joy. One day, they came across a young boy who was crying by the side of the road. They approached him and asked what was wrong. The boy explained that his father had died, and he did not know how to cope with the pain. The two monks sat down next to him and shared their wisdom. They told him that it was okay to feel sad and to grieve, but that he should also remember the happy times he shared with his father. They encouraged him to focus on the good memories and to carry them with him always. The boy listened intently, and a small smile began to form on his face. He thanked the monks for their guidance and went on his way, feeling a little lighter and happier. As the two monks continued their journey, they encountered many other people who were struggling with grief and hardship. They offered their guidance and support, always reminding people to focus on the positive and to find joy in the present moment. Years passed, and the two monks grew old and gray. One day, as they were sitting together under a tree, one of them turned to the other and said, "My friend, it has been a long and beautiful journey, but I fear that my time on this earth is coming to an end." The other monk nodded in understanding, and tears began to stream down his face. He knew that he would miss his friend dearly, but he also knew that his teachings would live on. The dying monk smiled and said, "Do not be sad, my friend. Remember the laughter and joy we shared together. Remember that happiness is always within you and that it is up to you to choose it." The other monk nodded, and they sat together in silence, watching the sun begin to set over the horizon. As the last rays of light disappeared, the dying monk took his last breath and passed away, surrounded by his friend. The remaining monk sat in silence for a long time, mourning the loss of his friend. But eventually, he remembered the lessons they had shared together. He remembered that happiness was always within him, and that it was up to him to choose it. He continued to travel and spread joy and happiness, carrying on the legacy of his fallen friend. And though he missed him dearly, he knew that his teachings would live on, and that he would never be forgotten. Years passed, and the monk grew old and gray. One day, as he was sitting under a tree, he felt a sense of peace wash over him. He knew that his time on this earth was coming to an end, but he was not afraid. He knew that he had lived a good life, full of joy and happiness. And as he took his last breath, he smiled, knowing that his legacy would live on, just as his friends had. The villagers remembered the three laughing monks fondly, and their teachings continued to be passed down through the generations. They knew that happiness was not a destination to be reached, but a journey to be embraced. And they knew that the laughter of those three monks would always live on, a testament to the power of joy in the human spirit. And so it was that the story of the three laughing monks became a legend, a symbol of hope and joy in a world that was often filled with darkness and despair. People would retell the story to their children and grandchildren, and it would bring a smile to their faces every time. As the years went by, the world changed. Wars were fought, empires rose and fell, and new religions emerged. But the story of the three laughing monks remained unchanged, a reminder of the power of happiness and the beauty of a life well lived. Even in modern times, people still tell the story of the three laughing monks. It has become a popular tale among Buddhists and non-Buddhists alike, inspiring countless people to seek happiness and joy in their own lives. In a world that can often seem dark and hopeless, the story of the three laughing monks reminds us that joy and happiness are always within reach, no matter what challenges we may face. We may not be able to control everything that happens to us in life, but we can always control our reactions to those events. We can choose to focus on the positive, to find joy in the present moment, and to spread happiness wherever we go. The story of the three laughing monks teaches us that we should never take life too seriously. We should always find reasons to smile, to laugh, and to enjoy the simple things in life. And we should never forget that the most important things in life are the relationships we form with others and the memories we create together. In the end, the story of the three laughing monks is not just a Buddhist tale, but a universal one. It speaks to the human desire for happiness and fulfillment and reminds us that these things are always within our grasp if only we know where to look. So let us all remember the story of the three laughing monks and let it inspire us to seek joy and happiness in our own lives. Let us find reasons to smile, to laugh, and to spread joy wherever we go. And let us never forget the power of friendship, love, and human connection, for these things are the true sources of happiness in life.